sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.
All right, let's jump into this deep dive, and we're going to dissect a Champions League match that I think left pretty much everyone scratching their heads. PSG, they've got a team that's just overflowing with talent, like they could probably take over a small country with this squad. They were hosting Liverpool for the first leg of the round of 16, and, well, let's just say it did not go how anyone expected.
Yeah, it really was one of those nights where the script got completely thrown out.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of football, though, right?
It really is. So, just looking at it on paper, this was PSG's game to win. Home advantage, a roster stacked with some of the biggest names in the sport. You'd think they'd just completely walk all over Liverpool.
You would think so.
Yeah.
And honestly, for a big chunk of the match, it seemed like all those pregame predictions were right on the money. PSG, they had control of the ball, they were dictating the pace, and they were just peppering Liverpool's goal with shots left and right. We're talking a crazy 71% possession, 10 shots on target. It's the kind of performance that you just look at and think, domination.
And yet they lost.
And they lost to a single shot on target from Liverpool. Just one. A goal that seemed to come out of nowhere. And it's a big reminder that in football, actually, just like in life, it's not always about how much you have, but how well you use it.
Okay, so let's break this shock result down, because I'm still trying to figure out how it even happened. How did Liverpool, a team that was clearly outplayed for almost a whole match, manage to pull off a win? Everyone thought they were going to lose.
Tactical discipline is what did it. Liverpool's manager, Arne Slot, the Dutch manager who's been making waves ever since he took over, he clearly understood that going head-to-head with PSG's attack would be a disaster. So he came up with a plan. Absorb the pressure, stay tight, and hit PSG on the counter. And man, did it work perfectly.
I gotta admit, I was fooled too. I had PSG easily cruising into the quarterfinals. But this brings up a big question. Does possession even matter anymore if you can't turn it into goals?
It's a question that's been going around football circles for a while now. We've seen quite a few teams finding success with a more direct, counter-attacking style. Look at Liverpool, for example. Their XG, their expected goals, in that match was actually pretty low, which tells us they weren't really creating those super clear chances, but they really focused on being solid defensively and just being super efficient in that final third of the pitch.
So it's about quality over quantity, being really clinical with the chances you get. But come on, PSG, with all that star power, you'd think they could have broken down Liverpool's defense eventually, right?
Yeah, well, that's where you really saw Liverpool's tactical discipline shine. They formed this really compact block in the midfield, basically shutting down any space for PSG to work between the lines. And anytime PSG managed to get through, they ran into this wall of red shirts. Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate were absolute rocks at the back, reading the game so well, shutting down any danger before it could even start.
Speaking of danger, let's get into that winning goal. It really felt like it came out of thin air.
Oh, it was textbook counterattacking. Alisson, Liverpool's keeper, he boots this laser-focused long ball up to Darwin Nunez. The Uruguayan striker, who had been pretty quiet up to that point, somehow manages to flick a header right into the path of Harvey Elliott. And Elliott, this young midfielder, he just slots the ball past Donnarumma with the composure of a veteran. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was a goal that just showcased everything Liverpool is good at. Tactical awareness, lightning-fast transitions, and just ice-cold finishing. And it totally stunned PSG. Yeah. Suddenly they're trailing in a match they were supposed to be dominating.
Total sucker punch. The kind that could just deflate even the most confident team.
Yeah.
And it really exposed a possible weakness in PSG's whole approach.
Are you saying they got complacent? Or maybe they underestimated how much damage Liverpool could do on the counter?
Complacent. I don't know about that. But maybe there was a little bit of underestimation going on. PSG is used to calling the shots, controlling the ball, just overwhelming teams with their attack. But Liverpool showed everyone that there's more than one way to win, especially in a high-stakes competition like the Champions League.
Okay, so we've set the scene. We've talked about this huge upset. Now, let's really dive into the tactical battle that happened between these two giants of European football. What were some of the key tactical things that led to Liverpool's unexpected win?
Well, one of the things that really stood out to me was the difference in how they pressed. PSG, like you'd expect, they were using a high press, trying to win the ball back as quickly as possible up high on the pitch. But Liverpool, They were so clever in how they moved the ball. They often bypassed PSG's press completely, sometimes with these long diagonal balls out to the fullbacks, or sometimes with these quick, sharp passes right through the midfield.
So they kind of used PSG's aggression against them, turned defense into attack in a split second.
Exactly. And that's really where the speed of players like Mohamed Salah and Darwin Nunez became such a weapon. As soon as they got behind PSG's defense, they were just a constant threat. And that forced PSG center backs to drop deeper, which then opened up more space for Liverpool's midfielders to work their magic.
It was like a masterclass in how to counterattack. But what about PSG's attack? I mean, they've got some of the most talented forwards in the world, right? You'd think they could have created more clear-cut chances.
Oh, they definitely have the talent. There's no doubt about that. But they just didn't seem to have that spark, that fluidity in the final third. Yeah. You could almost feel the frustration building as the match went on. Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, they're all incredible players individually, but they just weren't quite clicking as a unit. Maybe the pressure got to them, or maybe Liverpool's defense was just that good.
It makes you wonder if maybe they rely a bit too much on individual brilliance instead of having that well-oiled attacking system, you know? Which leads me to a bigger question that this whole deep dive has brought up. Are we seeing a shift away from possession-based football? Is tiki-taka really a thing of the past?
Oh, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And this match definitely adds fuel to the fire. I mean, Liverpool winning with less than 30% possession, it tells you that you don't always need to control the ball to win, especially against teams that maybe depend too much on possession.
Yeah, it's like what we saw with Atletico Madrid under Simeone. They had so much success with that more practical defense-first style. And now Liverpool, with this mix of defensive strength and those super quick counterattacks, they're proving that there are lots of different ways to win in modern football.
That's it, exactly. And I think these tactical changes are making the game even more unpredictable and exciting. It's not just a case of whoever has the ball the most or the most famous players automatically wins anymore. Now it's about being flexible tactically, being smart about the game, and being able to adjust to different opponents and situations.
So this one match has become like a tiny example of this huge conversation happening in the football world right now. Conversation about how tactics are changing, how philosophies are shifting, and how the underdog always has a chance. But let's not forget, this tie isn't over yet. There's still that second leg to play at Anfield. You know, that stadium is famous for its incredible atmosphere and its ability to push the home team to do amazing things. What do you think about how this second leg is going to go?
Oh, Anfield.
Oh.
The Kop will be going crazy. The pressure will be immense. It's like this cauldron of football passion. It can either lift Liverpool to incredible heights or completely crush their opponents. What do you think will happen?
Well, for PSG, it's pretty simple. They have to score. And they need to score at least 2 goals to even have a shot at going through. But doing that against Liverpool's defense in that atmosphere, that's a pretty scary task. Do you think they can pull it off?
It's definitely not going to be easy, that's for sure. They'll need to find that attacking magic again, figure out a way to break down Liverpool's well-organized defense, and avoid getting caught on those counterattacks.
But they do have the firepower to do it. Mbappe, Neymar, Messi. If anyone can get past Liverpool's defense, it's those 3.
True, but they can't just rely on individual talent. You know, they've got to work better as a team, be more disciplined in their attack. They need to move the ball faster, use the width of the pitch, and overload dangerous areas.
And they can't forget about Liverpool's counterattacks for a second. One mistake, one moment of not paying attention, and Liverpool could punish them.
Oh, absolutely. There's almost no room for error. And then there's the psychological impact of losing that first leg. Can PSG shake off that disappointment, that frustration, the pressure of having to catch up?
It's a test of their character, how mentally tough they are. But we can't forget about Liverpool. They've got that slim lead, but they're going into the second leg as the favorites now. What will their approach be? Will they stick with the same tactics that worked so well in Paris?
That's the big question for Arne Slot. Does he stick with what he knows, that practical approach that got them the win in the first leg? Or does he try to be more assertive at home, knowing that the Anfield crowd will be expecting them to really go after PSG?
It's a tough call. I mean, it makes sense to stick with what worked, right? Why change something that's winning? But then there's the risk of sitting back too much, letting PSG take control, letting the momentum shift.
And you can't forget about that Anfield factor. That crowd will be demanding a performance. They'll be pushing Liverpool forward. Slot will need to find a way to use that energy, that passion, but without sacrificing the team's defensive strength.
There are so many things going on, so many possible outcomes. It's a tactical puzzle, a psychological battle, a clash of styles and philosophies. But even beyond all the tactics and formations, beyond the individual battles and the goals, this match is about something bigger. It's about the stories we tell, about who we think we are and what we believe in.
It's about those dreams of glory, the fear of failure, that human need for hope and redemption. It's about the magic of football.
That's a perfect way to put it. And as we look ahead to this second leg, it's worth thinking about what this match, this whole tie, could mean for both teams in the future. For Liverpool, winning would be like a statement, a confirmation that they're real contenders for the Champions League trophy. But for PSG, a loss, especially after playing so well in that first leg, could have huge consequences.
Definitely. This could be a turning point for both clubs. For Liverpool, it could launch them to even bigger things. For PSG, it might be a wake-up call, a time for change.
So we've broken down the tactics, we've explored all the different possibilities, we've even gotten a little philosophical about this clash of the Titans. Now, let's zoom out and think about the bigger picture. What does this result, this whole tie, tell us about how European football is changing? Are we seeing a real shift in power, a move away from possession-based football? And what does it mean for the future of these two clubs? These are the questions we're going to tackle as we continue our deep dive.
It's wild, right? We talk about statement games all the time, but this Liverpool win, it's like they rewrote the whole rule book on how to win at the top level.
And the thing is, they didn't just sit back and defend. There's this idea that counterattacking is all about defense, but Liverpool showed they really knew how to control space and pick the perfect moments to strike.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just about soaking up the pressure. It's about using that pressure against the other team, almost like judo, turning their strength against them. That's a great way to put it. And you see it in how they built their team. They've got guys like Trent Alexander-Arnold who can hit those long diagonal passes, and Luis Diaz, who's just a terror on the break. It's a team built to be solid at the back, A&D explosive going forward.
Okay, so let's think about the bigger picture. We've talked about how this might encourage other teams to try similar approaches. But what about how this affects PSG mentally? A team full of big stars, used to being in control. How do they bounce back from a loss like this?
It's a really interesting question. Part of me thinks this could be a good wake-up call for them, like a reminder that talent alone isn't enough, that they need to work together better, be more adaptable.
That on the other hand,
this could really shake their confidence, especially with so many big personalities on the team. If they start blaming each other, well, that could completely ruin their season.
And then there's all the pressure on Luis Enrique, their manager. He came in with such a big reputation, but this result is going to raise some eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
Can he get these superstars to buy into a more team-oriented approach? Can he teach them the kind of grit and discipline that Liverpool showed?
Those are the big questions in Paris right now, and I wouldn't want to be in his shoes. It's like a miniature version of the challenges in football today. How do you balance individual talent with teamwork? How do you keep up with all the tactical changes while still staying true to who you are as a team?
It's a tough balancing act, and Enrique's got to do it in front of the whole world. But what I'm curious about is the flip side of this. What about the long-term impact on Liverpool? They've already won a Champions League under Klopp, but this feels different, like they found their hunger again.
Absolutely. With Arne Slot, they seem to have hit that sweet spot of attacking flair and defensive strength. And don't underestimate what this win does for the younger guys. Someone like Harvey Elliott, scoring the winning goal in a match like this, that's a huge confidence boost that could really push him to the next level.
It's like a passing of the torch, The veterans, guys like Van Dijk and Salah, showing the young guys the ropes, and those younger players bringing new energy and ambition to the team. It's a powerful combination, and I bet Liverpool fans are loving it.
I think this match, more than the result itself, has sent a message to everyone in Europe. Liverpool's back, and they're not messing around.
Well, we've covered a lot today. The shocking upset, the tactical masterclass, what it all means for the future. But as always, we want to leave you with something to think about, something to get those football debates going.
Hit me with it.
Here's the question. Is this a sign of things to come? Are we seeing a real change in how football is played at the highest level? Is this the start of a new era where being adaptable and defensively strong is more important than individual stars and possession?
Wow, that's a really good question to think about. And it's one we'll probably keep coming back to as the season goes on.
Exactly. So listeners, we'll leave you with that thought. We've given you the analysis, the insights, the historical context. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Tell us what you think on social media. Is this a turning point in football? Is Liverpool's win a sign of what's to come? We can't wait to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep thinking deeply and keep loving this beautiful game.